Hey everyone, let's get started for writing on the PTE core exam. You might know this, but the writing section is one of the hardest. We'll focus on two areas, summarizing a written text and the email writing, because they are worth the most amount of marks. Writing section is first. It's actually put together with speaking and writing. This will be in the first section of the exam. Writing area has multiple choice questions. It has fill in the blanks questions. But the reason we are focusing on summarize a written text and email writing is because it's when you have to write the most amount of content. You're not just selecting correct answers or writing short phrases. You're writing paragraphs or up to 3-4 sentences. So I want to give you some tips and tricks. I'll also show you some general format and exactly what the examiner is looking so that you can get all your content mark, your vocabulary mark, your spelling and grammar marks. We're going to make sure to maximize your score here. So on regards to the marking criteria, summarize a written text is your second last thing. So content is worth 2 marks, form 2 marks, grammar spelling 2, and vocabulary 2. So we have a total of 8 marks, which yes, is a lot. This is section 7, so we're almost at the end of your speaking and writing section, and you really need to boost your marks in the last area. I'll go ahead further and describe what content, form, and grammar and vocabulary is going to look like, so you know exactly what the examiner needs to see. Now remember, in 2025, they are using AI algorithms to assess your mark, which means we need to hit the things that an AI algorithm can notice and not necessarily a human. For example, when it comes to content, AI algorithms are more likely to find key vocabulary words, synonyms from the prompt. So we really need to master that. Same with grammar and vocabulary. The computer is much better at finding the vocabulary that is topic specific. So as an exam test taker, you need to work a little bit harder. Now, thinking about writing an email, this one is number 8. So it's the very last section of speaking and writing, the beginning of the exam. There is 7 different criteria that they are marking for. So yes, more marks, but each area is split into different categories. So hopefully you can get full marks. Content 2, email convention 2. Email convention is like if you have an opening and then the closing is something like sincerely, best regards, yours truly. So that's when you kind of sign your name at the bottom. Form, we're looking for paragraph structure, and I'll discuss this a lot more as we go through. Organization as well, we have 4 to 5 paragraphs, usually sometimes 3 paragraphs. Vocabulary, grammar, and spelling. Grammar and spelling, you just need to make sure that you are not having any mistakes for both, and you'll get the complete marks. If you have 1 grammar mistake, -1 mark. If you have 1 spelling mistake, -1 mark. So it's very easy to lose marks here, but we're going to give ourselves time for proofreading. That is super important. So let's take a deeper dive into PTE Core Summarize a Written Text. This one is challenging because we don't see it on other exams like the CELPIP or the IELTS exam. So if you're taking this PTE Core, then it's kind of new. You'll receive a passage up to 200 words. It's not very long, but you're going to get this passage, and I'll show you, it looks kind of like this. It can be either a passage or it can be an email. Honestly, I find that the emails are easier because we are very familiar with reading emails. The passage is going to look more like a textbook analogy or some type of description. Here we see this one's about renewable energy. So there is no exact form which it will be presented, but these are the 2 most common. So that's 200 words. You have only 10 minutes to read and summarize the entire thing. So you will need about 7 minutes to actually write. That would be enough time. And we need 1 minute to read. That should be sufficient. That gives us with just 2 more minutes to proofread. Proofreading 1 to 2 minutes. That should be enough because it is very short. But please make sure you give yourself this time. If you write too long, you are going to not proofread. Therefore, you likely will have a spelling or grammar mistake, and that is a very simple way to lose marks. So just make sure that you do give yourself at least 1 minute to proofread. That should be just enough. It's between 25 and 50 words. Now, this is important for our content and our form. Here we got form for 2 marks. If you do not have 50 words, so let's say you have 55 words or you have 20 words, you're going to lose marks in that content area. So just make sure that it is between this amount. There will be a word count at the bottom on your screen. I think it's the bottom left or bottom right. So just follow that word count there. And you'll have 1 to 2 of these passages in the exam. Everything has a variety. For example, like emailing might be 2 to 3. Passages might be 1 to 2. That's so that the exam can be completely random and it's not a standard exam. They can assess you on a variety of skills with some type of variety involved. So this is what your screen will look like during the exam. Of course, it's more of a black and white color, but it's basically the same. It's going to say summarize a written text. We have between 25 and 50 words. Type your response in the box below at the bottom, and you have 10 minutes to complete the task. So we see here that this one is more of a passage-based style. It's not an email. Very quickly, I'm going to notice some of the main subjects. We have renewable energy, and then it gives us an example of renewable energy are becoming increasingly vital. Okay, vital means important. To fight climate change, combat is to fight. Right here in the introduction sentence, it gives me most of the information. This intro is going to be your first sentence because it's the topic here and it will be the topic or intro sentence for your summary. Then it goes on to explain why or how. These technologies offer sustainable alternatives like fossil fuel, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and dependency on finite resources. Now we have a 1, 2, 3 format where we list 3 things. This will be impossible for you to list all 3 of these things in the exam. Why? Well, remember we have up to 50 words, so impossible. When you see groups of 3 like this, 1, 2, 3, try to summarize it into 1 word or 1 phrase. So I could sum these up to say that these technologies these technologies reduced climate change effects, or I can say that they reduce dependency on climate intensive technology or things that produce pollution. So I would think for this for a minute, come up with 1 word or 1 phrase instead of having 1, 2, 3. We go into the next part here. This will be the basis for your sentence 2 or sentence 3. So we're generally going to have space for 2 to 3 sentences. Advances, okay, so we're talking about the future, have made renewable energy more efficient, cost-effective, leading to widespread adoption. Again, we have like 1, 2, 3. We're going to have to summarize that. However, integrating these energy sources into existing power grids presents challenges, requiring infrastructure upgrades and policy to ensure a smooth transition to a sustainable future. There is a lot in here. Again, we're going to try to boil it down into 1 sentence. So we're thinking that there are technologies to improve to improve our power grids or our infrastructures. I might use something like that. There are technologies to improve existing infrastructures. However, they come with challenges, or however, they're not adequate yet. So we're thinking about the positives and the negative, and I'm going to use a different transition word than however, because it's already used here. So I might use although, in contrast, consequently, something like that. Few things to remember when we're doing this section, summarizing the text. is that we need to have a main idea and support it with because. Because, due to, in order to, or as a reason of. Because it's just the shortest word, because it's one word. The others are three or more. So definitely, main idea will come from sentence 1. Remember, we looked at sentence 1, main idea. Because I'm kind of looking at this section, these blah, 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 blah. So renewable energy, blah, 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 because blah, blah, blah. So that's our first section that we need to have. You also need to have 5 to 6 key vocabularies from the prompt. Remember, this is being assessed by AI. So it can understand if you grasp those key vocabulary words. We had lots in that example. Environmental, climate change, global warming, fossil fuels, emissions. All of these have so many synonyms. And if you've read the news and you know about climate change, then you might be familiar with some of the synonyms we can use. Like global warming and climate change, synonymous. But in order to get those points for vocabulary and content, we need to have 5 to 6 key vocabulary words. We're going to use this format. It's a 2 to 3 sentence format, and I've already discussed it in the past slide. But generally, we have our main sentence. So that again will be like our topic sentence. We have because or due to. So main idea, because. What is happening and why? Then we have our third, which is going to be the last paragraph that they provide for you. Furthermore, additionally, one more thing. Here, we're not really going to say because, just for the fact that we won't have enough space. So main idea, because, and. Simple like that. But make sure that you're still using formal language. So this is a formal response. No slang, no casual English. We're looking for formal. At the minimum, semi-formal should be okay. But 3 strong sentences with proper vocabulary and grammar. So let's take a look at some examples here. This is another one. However, this one is in the context of an email. So read the email, summarize it between 25 and 50 words. Then at the bottom, you'll have 10 minutes to type your response. So go ahead, pause this on your screen here. You're going to read the response. I know it's an email from Mr. Johnson. It's something about tech gear. There was a delay, chain disruptions, etc. We apologize, blah, blah, blah. All right, summarize it in 25 to 50 words. Come back and let's take a look at our example. Now, before we get right into the example, let's think about the introduction. So it's going to be something about tech gear, but that's a very short sentence. That's just the person who sent it. So really, our first introduction sentence is going to be somewhere around here. We regret to inform you that the order, which was scheduled, blah, 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 has been delayed due to unexpected supply chains. So lots of information right there. That should be your first sentence, introduction sentence, or main idea. And actually, in fact, we can probably include the because here. So the purchase from tech gear was delayed because of supply chain disruptions. We are working active to resolve the issue. That is not super important, but let's take a look at the next one. They apologize. As a token of appreciation, they're offering 10% discount on the next purchase. Okay, that's another important piece of information. So we're starting with number 1, number 2, and number 3. This is one example of how you will get 50 words in to summarize. Let's see our other example. All right. Tech Gear informs Mr. Johnson that his order will be delayed due to supply chain. Okay, so we have due to supply chain issues and will now arrive by March 12th because it was supposed to be originally set for March 5th. So right here, we have the 2 dates, very nice complex sentence. We have a dependent clause, independent clause. We have because, and we also have due to twice. Furthermore, good. As compensation, they offer a 10% discount on his next purchase, and they apologize for the inconvenience. I only included this because I still had space, but if we needed to end here, that would be fine. We would still get all of the main details. We have good grammar, we have good vocabulary, we have compensation, inconvenience, we have supply chain. Good, so we have very key vocabulary presented here. All right, ready for one more example? This one, I'm not going to do any explaining. Just watch it on the screen and do your summary at home. Here's the second one. Summarize a written text. Bulletin announcement. Again, it's an email. Pause the video. Write your 25 to 50 words. Okay, here's my example. Compare it with yours. I said the company informs employees that the office will relocate to 123 Business Street on June 15th in order to. That's the same as because or due to support the team's growth to improve the work environment. Additionally, the IT team will make a smooth transition and assistance will be provided for packing. Bam. 1, 2, 3 sentences. Main idea, in order to, additionally. So that's all for summarize a written text, but let's get into writing an email because this one is much longer and there is more room for mistakes. So when we are doing email writing, the topic is presented and it has 3 bullet points. Just like we've seen on IELTS or CELPIP exams, they have main idea, make sure to talk about 1, 2, 3. Super important that you talk about those 3 things. It's like, it's necessary. You have no choice other than talk about those 3 things. You have 9 minutes to complete the email, minimum of 50 words, but this is too short. Max of 100 words. So we're going to aim for about 100 to 120. That's our golden range. Anything less than 100, you just simply can't answer the email perfectly. 2 to 3 options, 2 to 3 emails per exam. So if you're lucky, 2 or 3. So this is an example of what it will look like on your screen. You'll have 9 minutes to complete and you have to write, aim for 100 words, but they do allow up to 120, so you have a maximum of that. You recently purchased a laptop online, but when it arrived, you noticed that it was not the model you ordered. Additionally, the laptop had some scratches on the surface. Write an email, so this is you. Write an email to the customer service department of the company explaining the issue. You should, not you should, you must. You must describe the problem, request a solution, and express your expectations politely but firmly. Make sure you get both of those, polite but firm. A bad example would be if you were not firm. If you said, it would be nice if you can send me a replacement, or perhaps you might have a solution for me. No, you need to be firm because it's right here. Up to 100 words, but we know 120 is still accepted. Just aim for 100, it's easier. So what is the criteria looking like? Well, we already discussed this, but there is 7 different parts. So what we're really needing to do is make sure that we have content. Content is going to be those 3 bullet points. It's a must. We must describe those 3 bullet points. For email convention, we're thinking about the greetings, like hello, and the sign-offs. That's a signature. So greetings, hello, dear marketing department, dear team, dear manager. Sign off is best regards, sincerely, yours truly. Form, we're looking again for 120 words. Organization, you're going to have about 3 to 4 paragraphs. So they might kind of look like this. This is the dear, main point, explanation, request or conclusion, and sign off. Always, always keep true to this organization. Your vocabulary, again, is marked by AI, so we want it to be formal, not semi-formal or informal. Topic specific means that we are matching the vocabulary of this topic. If it's about computers, we should have vocabulary related to computers, models, requesting a service. You don't want to repeat words more than once unless it's a word that has no synonym. Like computers, we're not going to use a synonym for that. So computer you can use multiple times. But other words like I would like to request or it is a pleasure to, these types of words we can have synonyms for. Grammar, spelling, no mistakes. Why? Because they will -1 mark if you get one mistake, and that leaves you with only 50% for your grammar mark, and that's just not something we want. So I recommend giving yourself 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes for proofreading. It's a lot, but it's what we need. So with our 9 minutes in total, we only really have 6.5 minutes to write. So just make sure that we're aiming for that. Watch the clock, be careful on it. All right, let's look at the format that I love to use with our students. It has helped many people get into the exam without feeling stressed out because you have a format. So, dear name, if there is a name, you're going to write that. If the name is not stated, we're going to use Madame, Sir, team, colleagues, or you could also say like HR department, something relevant to the email. I am writing to, and this is the main purpose. You're going to find this main purpose up here. Write an email to customer service explaining the issue. So that's your purpose here. You might also find the purpose up here when you notice scratches, but that's more of a summary. So you're going to say, hi, I'm writing an email to, let's get through this. Click, 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 click. Okay, let's stay here. So I am writing an email for the purpose of, here are some examples: to raise a concern regarding, or to issue a refund for my laptop, or for your kind invitation. Firstly, okay, this will be body paragraph, actually number 2. Firstly, I would like to request a refund because, or I would like to notify you of the faulty delivery. So give some context, add value. Remember, we only have about 100 words, so you don't need to write a full paragraph. It will be 1 to 2 sentences. Additionally, you're going to expand here. And in our example, we're going to talk about asking for a refund. Now, you'll notice that we have 3 paragraphs, and you'll notice that we have 3 bullet points. So it would make the most sense to do bullet point 1, 2, and 3 in the same order as they appear. I received a bad laptop. I would like a, what was number 2? The laptop had scratches, and I would firmly like to request a new laptop. So bullet point 1, 2, and 3. In point 3, we could start our sentences with transitional words, in addition to moreover. Add relevant supporting examples. I would greatly appreciate your feedback or some other sign-off. Well, this is not a sign-off, but it's a formal email organization. Thank you for your attention. I look forward to your reply. Your comment is appreciated on this manner. Best regards, sincerely, yours truly, your name. So take a screenshot of this format because it's going to help you smoothen out your emails, ensure that you are getting all points checked off when you are writing, and it'll just make things easier when you're getting into the exam. Take a look at this example here. Remember, R is about the IT team and the laptop. So I'm writing about, I'm writing because. I received a laptop from your website. Good. Point number 1. I would like to report that the model delivered does not match the original. I ordered the newest Mac laptop, but received a different version. Okay. That would be point, actually no, this is point 1. Here, let's change that. This was point 1, this was the purpose, this is point 2, and this is point 3. So point number 2 is the visible scratches or damage. Point number 3 is a firm request. I would like to request that the correct item be sent promptly. That came right from our text, along with instructions for the incorrect product at no cost, returning it. Pretty firm, pretty prompt. We're asking for a return. I appreciate your feedback. Best regards, me. This one would give us high marks. It doesn't have any grammatical mistakes or spelling mistakes that I noticed. I spent a minute to proofread, but you could spend a little bit longer. It has a nice, clear format. 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, 5 paragraphs with a sign-off included, and it's a strong written response. Okay, some things to summarize the writing for PTE Core. It's very important to get high content marks. Content marks are those bullet points or the you must, you should say in your answer. Make sure that you're addressing all of those in your answer. I really recommend, as best as you can, 0 grammar or spelling mistakes. Because it dings your mark so intensely, we don't want any. If you get 1 spelling mistake, you get 1 out of 2. So really spend that time to proofread. Also, make sure that you're using correct forms. So form, that's our word limit. Either we have 50 word limit or 100 to 120 word limit. Make sure that you're not going over that. Simple but essential marks to get. Getting a high mark in the PTE core exam really comes down to getting a high mark in the writing section. Most people struggle with it because there is so much room for mistakes like grammar and spelling. Also, the use of AI algorithm has made it a little bit harder, which means that we need to be sure to get the answer correct, finding our content, our vocabulary in our form. So at HZad Education, we specialize in helping people for the PTE core exam, getting the score that they need so they can use it for Canadian immigration or education. That means if you want to work one-on-one with a tutor, just get in touch with us and we can connect you with our tutors. That way you're not studying online on YouTube, but rather with a human so you can ace the exam. If you found this video helpful, do go ahead, give us a like or a subscribe, and head on over to the channel if you want more example videos on writing, speaking, listening. We have videos on all of them. So if today's video just wasn't enough, continue onto the channel. Thanks for following along today. I'll see you in the next one. I'm Scott. Bye for now.